Hello, I'm back again, and as you can tell, I'm right now being able to refer to certain videos I've done by what college sweatshirt I'm wearing, period. I'm not picking these sweatshirts randomly. I have a nephew that was at Montana State, and I've got relatives around University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And of course, I'm still going to have to find t-shirts for the University of Texas, and of course, my early alma mater, Kansas State. But FYI, that's enough. Okay, so today, I'm going to try to parallel what I used in my Montana State video, sweatshirt video, about a farm boy, a archaeologist with passion and vision that would walk the farm-tilled fields after a rain near rivers or on knolls or areas where it appeared there had been earlier inhabitants. These inhabitants, like I mentioned before, and that could have been pioneers 100, 150 years ago, or it could have been Native American inhabitants 500 years, 1,000, even 10,000 years ago. They all have items that are left in the field. And after a heavy rain, as I traverse the field back and forth, pondering some that I've already found and what may have occurred and how a village or a campsite or a home site was set up with what I was already accumulating in the way of items, I would keep my eyes open for other items and walk it back and forth. Now I have an analogy with these best-selling author books, and I have a great number of them in my library at no cost that you can use to experience what I'm going to try to relay. And it's a lot like learning to swim, ride a bicycle, or learning a new language, but not quite nearly as difficult, but you have to stick with it. The same goes with completing a response report after you have chosen rank your 4 out of 7 portraits on a SWPS series on a great best-selling book that's in our library. Okay. Hi there. I've brought up a few times that I needed some kind of justifiable rules to lay out my shared wisdom pattern snapshots 7 portrait series on best-selling books that I have assembled. There's almost 40 of them in the library for your connection. So I really did do the parallel, the archaeology and the field research and collecting collections, looking for patterns. I said, what can I use that will allow me to set up some rules that are justifiable, that are a formula, that are an equation, that have mathematics, that have a history of our teachings as true content. And it came down to geometry. And from geometry, it came down to the smallest, platonic solid. There's 5 of them, I think. And the smallest one is a tetrahedron or a tetra-cubic tetrahedron. 4 sides, all exactly equal, all with the same angles. So we needed tactile, me and my team. We needed to be able to make these. So we had a CAD person draw us up a picture of a tetrahedron that we could then fold and assemble. And here's 3 of them. And we did hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. And the reason for doing that is I wanted a geometric model that was I hate to say defensible, but logical, rational to anyone, no matter how they were going to evaluate it. So then we hired a CAD and an imagery consultants and had them come in with different software and start to model both these tetra-cubics, which I'm going to now acronym and use all the time, and it's also in my thinking tool, my SWPS thinking tool, RTH, regular tetrahedron. The RTH is a four-sided tetra-cubic. And so we needed to model these. And I was looking for insights on how to structure using the rules of how tetrahedrons could be assembled, either linearly and cluster. The rules that I would use then to lay out the components on a portrait that was presenting a hotspot that I had dissected from a best-selling book. And I kind of went into that a little bit with the video with my Montana sweatshirt on. So first thing we started doing is we said, okay, well, let's put them in a linear form. Let's glue the RTHs, the paper, individual ones, into a chain and see where they go. And so we tried to make it a linear chain, as linear as they can be. And we found out that 3 of the linear RTHs together kind of went in a nice straight line, but lo and behold, the 4th one kind of shifted it a bit. We go, I wonder why it shifted the angle a little bit. But we said, okay, and we added 1, 2, 3 more on, which was 7, more onto the chain, and that's 7. And then we noticed it shifted again. So we go, okay. So we're building this linear chain. And every 3 that we put on this chain as we built it, the 4th one shifted it a little bit. And only by continuing it both with manually, not just with CAD, because there wasn't any software to get really tactile, understand this. And we did it with larger paper RTHs, and then we did it with the ones I showed you that came from the model that were this size. And we did it again and again. We kept adding them on. And lo and behold, after we added on 7 segments of the 3, slight shift 4, 3 again, 7 segments of 7, we came up with a spiral, a 360-degree spiral. And it wasn't going to connect on its own. It's going to go on forever. Just going to keep spiraling and go, ooh, that's interesting. So then I start thinking, okay, these are 2, I've come up with 3 solid rules from doing this again and again and making sure that I had it right with modeling RTHs in linear format. A side event, we tried clusters and big ones, confusing, really no guidelines, nothing for us as humans to follow as a path of making decisions. So clusters didn't work, it had to be chains. So here we did the chain, we did a spiral, awesome. 7 sections of 7. So I said, okay, this kind of gives me guidelines, paralleling it with if I'm out in the fields, the tilled field searching. These give me guidelines for how I want to structure the hotspots that I identify in a book. I mean, you're talking about a book. This is 400 plus pages. The Feeling of What Happens by Antonio Damasio. It is one of them in my library. Interesting book. But, when I walk the fields, just like reading a book, I don't read it from beginning to end. I don't read each chapter. I don't read each page, every paragraph. I skim, I look for things. I look for phrases or sentences or content. And I suppose that's kind of the way I walk a field, depending on, if it's eroded or if it's closer to the river, because I think I might find more earlier inhabitant items. So I decided with structuring the portrait, because there's 3 RTHs and then one of them kind of shifts and 3 more, and then that's a section of 7 or a segment of 7. And that segment, when you do it 7 times, you get a spiral, 360 spiral, 7 times 7. So I go, okay, the way I'm going to use this is in every SWPS series, which has a cover letter, a letter that helps you understand how your mind, your autonomous brain does a shifting perspective and your rational does an intentional one. That's page 2 of the 10-page SWPS series. And there's way too much I'm talking about here. But anyway, getting back to the structure that the geographic RTH models mandated for me, it meant to be, is because there were 7 sections of 7 to make a 360 spiral, I chose 7 portraits in a series. Since there were 3 in a chain before they slightly shifted, then went back to 3 more, I thought, okay, there'll be 3 components on a portrait page. And I could see that repetitive again and again. There's a rule here. There's some kind of universal rule with these platonic solids, this most basic one. So then I thought, well, what about the 4th one, where it shifts slightly? Of course, that 4th one, shifting of every 7, 3 shifting 4th and 3, is why the spiral turns around and becomes infinite. It doesn't connect with itself, it goes past it, the 360 spiral. That's why. So I thought with the 4th one, okay, well, that's got a huge impact on the overall 360 linear RTH chain. So I said, okay, that's the ranking part of choose and rank in the hotspots I provide on the portrait. The portrait hotspots, you have to choose 4 out of the 7. Where did I get the 4? From that middle RTH. It kind of shifts things. So I said, okay, that's why we picked 4 out of 7. And then I thought, okay, that also indicates 1 through 4 on the ranking, not just the choosing. Because once you have to choose your 4 portraits out of 7 once you review them. And then you've got to rank your summation boxes on those 4 portraits you chose, 1 through 4, based on your, what I would call your experiential intelligence and your values, beliefs, convictions merging together to give you your judgment, how you rationalize and think things, whether it's a routine, a ritual, or a habit. It's the way you judge things. So that helped me with the structure also. So then that pretty well, those geometric rules allowed me to combine and build a portrait that had a solid background of support of geometric RTH, what do you want to call it? Formula or equation of function, of how it works, how tactile it interacts as one of the platonic solids. And that's what I used. I think that's probably, I could show you more examples of all the CAD work I've done with these people back then. Some was done 20 some years ago, and then we just kept testing it. And all the imagery work. But I think I pretty well have covered what it's about. So now one has to move on and start actually engaging the shared wisdom pattern snapshots, SWPS for acronym, series from best-selling books that are in the library. And there's a list of them on the website. You can go right on and download them, but you got to print them. No, you can't do them online. And that's because just like these models in tactile, no matter how much you do CAD, how much you look at on computer or simulation, the tactile interaction with it is critical. So you print it. This is a 10-page, one of the SWPS series on the library. Page 1 gives you kind of an overview of what it's about again, and you can skim that. It allows you a rough draft page, so you can pick your 4 out of 7. You can jot it there. And then the second page, you'll find at the top, we've got autonomic and rational perspective shifting. You find up here, you don't have any control. Your brain's going to shift these either way. Down here, you've got to make a decision to shift them. And these both, so this is a good little preparatory. And then you got 7 pages right here. 7 pages of portraits following that anatomic layout of 3 components that the geometric research we did on linear RTH assemblies mandated as the most solid support of a way to assemble it. Don't quite understand what it all means yet, but no one does. Intuitively, that's what this is. It's a breakthrough. It's pushing ahead. It's beyond fingerprint. It's beyond DNA. It's beyond face recognition. It's beyond voice recognition. All that's biological. This is deeper. Like I said, this is the fusion of your experiential intelligence and your values and beliefs and convictions that you have your whole life, that you can tap into at the moment or keep it as your own personal, what do you want to call it, self-identity. No matter what AI or whatever evolves, this is your self-identity if you completed it. You didn't have any AI help. And that's what it's about. So, well, I guess I've kind of got through what I need to. I could wave other proof, but this is good. And Oklahoma, anyway, never mind. I will talk to you again. Have a great day. Bye. Find that click. There it is.